the Australians.
The little accent over the E. All right.
Should be like.
So, welcome to the Austin Writers Roulette, April edition, where our theme is drugs and fantasies. And you know, the one person who I can count on to do drugs every day is not here, so that's why.
He is
I don't know.
he's judging a mustache contest.
Yes,
We're in
Tattoo contest.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing? Okay,
Yeah.
you guys know that. I was like, wow, because you know, if any theme would resonate with that particular poet, it's like, you should be here. Anyway, we're gonna start off with a roulette who notes that drugs are anything that gets you high.
Oh.
Please welcome Helen.
Hey.
Buck.
So anything that gets you high.
I love
I
that.
love what you said with that. This is about my 3-year-old addiction. My name is Helen, and I'm an addict. I'm also crazy, but this miracle drug can treat even my craziness. Let me explain my 3-year-old addiction. Actually, it's 4 separate addictions. Tommy, Aiden, Owen, and Cash. Though they are different ages now, my grandkiddos, at the age of 3, each had offered their own unique highs and lows for me, just like some drugs. Tommy was 3 in 1995 and would impatiently cry, "Crazy, Nana, crazy!" Crazy, crazy for feeling so lonely. That year, I was a rock star, in his eyes anyway. He was a real daredevil then. Imagine a long downhill driveway and a big wheel. Barreling down that hill at full speed, Tommy waited to the very last second, put his big red machine into a full spin, and wound up at the top of the hill without any effort. He wore out those tires in 3 months. At 10-year-old Tommy, that was when he was 3, at 10 years old, he had a 3-year-old brother, Aiden. We all took a week-long trip together, and his parents, Aiden's parents, had to give him the rules of the road. Aiden, you have to hold Nana's hands, okay? No. Why not? Because they're crappy. Just look at him. He was 3, he told the truth, and he was right. My hands were getting crappy looking. Aiden didn't always hold my hand, and we learned that he had the same kind of daredevil attitude as his brother. On the trip to visit the Gateway Arches, as the gondola doors opened at the top of the archway, Aiden broke free of my grip. He threw his entire body across a 7-inch by 27-inch tilted window, 630 feet off the ground. In more tranquil moments, Aiden and I took long walks, finding interesting things along the way. His found art objects made from things like baseball covers, bent iron, bottle caps, straws, and string were inspired. But recently I learned that my now 13-year-old Aiden wishes to get minimal and discard those works of art. Aiden has taught me the appreciation of a new ecstasy. The only thing precious in this life and in this world is our relationships. No things, not even masterpieces. Then there's Owen. Not just a drug, a whole pharmacy. At 3, Owen would be playing with his building blocks or watching his iPad with a check or a Spanish video on it. And I'd say, "Time for dinner, Aiden." or Owen, sorry, I'm getting them mixed up. Time for dinner, Owen. Go wash your hands. Owen, time for dinner. Nothing. This would go on until I placed my entire head between his iPad and his face, looking up into his eyes. He was quite annoyed when that happened because he never heard the come and eat order. Around age 3, I once noticed Owen trotting himself down the hall towards the bathroom, but he didn't ask me for any help. What was going on? There he was, sitting pantsless on his potty, iPad in his lap, playing a Czech tune, waving an American flag in one hand, and a Czech flag in the other.
Whoa.
Owen is 6 now and charges through life with joy and abandon while I get my 10,000 steps trying to keep up. It's a real runner's high. Just the other day, I picked up Owen and his now 3-year-old brother, Cash, from his grandpa's house. As by norm, and often by mistake, I tried to strike up a conversation with Owen, or with Cash. Cashew, which is our pet name for him. Do you love your grandpa? Yes. Do you love visiting your grandpa? Yes. And do you love me? No.
Oh.
Do you like me? No. Why not? Because you crazy, Nana, and you got straps on your face. The crazy part I got. But the straps, I looked in the mirror and there they were. But we call them wrinkles.
Oh.
Cash is 3. He tells the truth. He was right, and I made an appointment with my dermatologist. Recently, I took 3-year-old Cash and 6-year-old Owen to an art show. It was a contest to see who got to press the elevator buttons. Cash won 3 out of 4 times. Owen asked for a turn, and because Cash was busily singing a happy little tune in Spanish, out loud, in the dark, walking down 3rd Street, I thought it would be a good time to pass it by Cash. Major meltdown. But Owen pressed the button, and we got into the elevator, dragging, kicking, and screaming Cash along. As the doors opened at the top, Owen left the elevator, and Cash refused to move. The doors started to close. I picked up the kicking and screaming Cash and called out to Owen to stop. But events deteriorated from there. Big Brother hopped in the car, and the little Tasmanian devil refused to get in his seat. Owen simply buckled himself into his own car seat, put his hands over his ears, and ignored the whole thing. I decided to do the same thing, sitting in the driver's seat. 10 minutes went by, and it was time for action. After all, I was the driver, I was the adult here, I raised 2 kids, and I'm either crazy or I'm just plain naive. Opening the rear door and speaking so as to be heard over the den, I proclaimed, "That's enough!" Cash scurried away like a mouse dodging a cat. Then it was on. While attempting to place him in his seat, Cash employed the ironing board defense, stiff and straight as an ironing board. Pressing his middle, he was just too strong. He would not bend. So backing off to assess the situation, the counter-attack became clear. Buckle that upper part at his chest first, and eureka, it worked. Next, slacken that little buckle at the bottom and wait for him to relax. With him still screaming, "Mommy, Mommy, ouchie, ouchie," a woman approached. The ouchie was for effect, by the way. He was not being hurt, but there it was, a screaming toddler crying for his mommy and claiming pain. The woman advanced. I have an extra parking receipt I paid for. Do you want it? As if it were a consolation prize from a fellow survivor. I just don't want to let it go to waste. Thanking her, I once again focused on my ironing board. Then it happened. Cash took a lungful between screaming for mommy and crying ouch, ouchie, and his formidable tummy muscles relaxed. In one move, the buckle snapped, simultaneously tightened it down, and it was like winning a hog tying contest at that point. Exiting the garage with Cash yowling, the parking attendant awaiting payment. I forgot all about that free pass, by the way. The phone rings. It was that moment Cash's mom chose to call. She panicked. Is everything okay? What's going on? Like Owen, I ignored them all. I handed the parking attendant a 20. By this time, the mom realized just before hanging up that this was simply another cashew moment, saying, see you soon. It sounded more like good luck sucker to me. Pulling out of the garage, that nut, Cashew, was still shrieking. So I started singing, crazy, crazy for feeling. It was a Patsy Cline lyric. Cash stopped screaming, and Owen, looking sideways at Cash, tentatively took his hands off of his ears. Like a pizza delivery driver, I made it home in record time. Fight or flight response for sure. Yes, my highs and lows are addictive. Tommy, Aiden, Owen, and Cash will make me old before my time, keep me young forever, or make me crazy.
Yeah.